Yes, 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 yes. So today, this is one of my first YouTube videos. You may or may not know me. Chances are you do know me. I'm the author of this book, You Don't Have to Die Broke. I've given away 16,000 copies of this. Not a single fucking follow-up. No mentor group. You don't read it, it's on you. If you read it, I am convinced it'll help you become a millionaire. Again, completely free of charge. Go to my link, email me, DM me, carrier pigeon, whatever it takes for you to get the book, do it. Shit, come to my house, whatever. I'm gonna tell you today how I became a millionaire. I think I've never made over $100,000 a year. I do now, but when I started this process, I didn't. I made $12.50 an hour. I worked a part-time job as a correctional officer. I'm gonna show you the exact strategy that me and my family used to accelerate our growth and in a period of 9 years become a millionaire, and then now about $3 million. How am I doing on the time? Okay, cool. So I'm gonna try to keep this short and sweet, honest and legit. Again, I'm not selling you shit. I'm just gonna show you the process. If you like it, if you dig me, if you like this message, follow me on YouTube, follow me on Instagram, and I'm gonna be posting about this stuff. The only thing I have to sell you is if you really like the book, you want me to sign it, 15 bucks, I'll send you a physical copy or a gift to a friend. That's it. That's all I'm gonna hit you with. So this information is like legit. This is exactly what I'm doing every single day, literally every single day. One of the things that I teach inside this idea of the 10 pillars of success is you gotta create an 8th day. I became a millionaire by creating an 8th day, meaning I work 8 days a week. I'm not saying forever, a time and a season, but for when people say they'll do anything to build, to make it, or I'll do anything, you gotta create the 8th day. That means compressing time. You do more than other people. You work 8 days when other people are working 5. This is how I became a millionaire on a low income. So I'm gonna get into a strategy I call the push, but it's very important that we understand there's only a couple ways in America to make money. One, a job. That seems obvious, right? Job, and the way that you become wealthy with a job is one way. 2, business. You can start a biz, right? So that's another way that people become rich or become a millionaire. You could do it from a job. You could do it by owning a business. And 3, real estate. So these are really the only way to become wealthy. These are your sources of income. In my book, I talk about it's a well. You need to create multiple wells, and we draw, just like you draw water from a well, I teach a 3-bucket strategy on managing your money to go from the money from your job, which is a well, and we're gonna talk about this on creating multiple streams of income. That was a huge part of how I built my money and built my wealth. So a job, a business, and then real estate. So if you say, well, no, Gerald, you can invest in stocks and become rich. Well, that's a business. You say, well, Gerald, you could work at Facebook or some tech company or something like, well, that's a job. And it could be also part of a business. And you could say, well, I could start flipping houses and okay, well, that's also a business and that's also real estate. So literally everything is in one of these 3: job, own a business, or real estate. So everything's gonna be in there, right? So you remember Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, right? Everybody loves that book. Everybody loves Robert Kiyosaki, even though he's been completely wrong on the stock market for 12 years, but we'll put that aside. He's got the E and the I and the B and the S. Now, I may have these out of order, but what does it stand for? Employee, investor, business owner, self-employed, right? And then if you're an employee, you're gonna push, remember I said it's called the push, your money into investments, right? If you're self-employed, you're gonna have to push your money into investments. If you own a business, it's kind of unique. Jeff Bezos became the richest man in the world by owning a business. Yes, he owns stock in Amazon, but it's the fact that he owns the business. And so a business owner is unique. They could sell the business and get money. You may not even need to own stocks. Often that'll include real estate, but most of the time you're gonna push your money into there. A lot of business owners think they own a business, but they're actually just self-employed. They own their job. Now here's what I do. I'm self-employed, and I'm an investor, and I own a business, but I started out as an employee. So that's all messy, right? But it's good to understand these basic concepts, that there's not some unusual way. You're not going to invent something fucking new. You're going to do the same path that everyone else did. The path to wealth has been the same for 5,000 years. You just have to apply it. You have to learn it and then apply it to your life. So here's what I did. My wife worked a job. So we built this little foundation with her working her job. Well, we should make it a little lower, right? So first thing is, my wife worked a job. That's not a good way to do it. So one full-time income. Do income. We lived on this. We lived on one income stream. I went and got a part-time job that was a good one. So I got a part-time job, 20 hours a week, as a prison guard. Prison. I gave my wife this check to go with her check. The first thing that we did is we got our lifestyle to below this, way below this, like we're living on, again, this is 20 years ago, so you have to time adjust inflation. My wife's making $35,000 a year. I'm making $12,000 to $15,000 a year part-time. So we got to live on less than $40,000, right? House, car, all that. And so for the first 2 years, all I did was debt. I got rid of debt. I eliminated it. You don't have to do this. I'm showing you my strategy. So my wife worked full time. I began to take all the money so I worked 20 hours a week. That gave me 5 days a week free. So on the 5 days, because I only worked 2 days, 2 10-hour shifts, the other 5 days I devoted to building a business, self-employment, right? And so I started a lawn care business. I started doing online affiliate marketing. I painted houses. I'll come to your house and babysit for you. What is it you need me to do to get money? I have no shame. I'll do whatever is legal to make money. That was my strategy. And I began to take the money that I made, 100% of it, all of it that I didn't need to run the business, I pushed it into savings. And I got to about $15,000. I didn't know what I was going to do with it, but I needed the money. So I continued to save this money. Along the way, as the universe works, because what you think about comes about, what you focus on grows. As you go through life, you're gonna run into people. The universe will open up for you. Okay? I don't want to go down that trail, and we'll talk about that. If you follow me on Instagram or listen to my podcast, I get a little deeper into all of that. Let's try to stay on track. So my first goal was to eliminate debt. Debt was gone. When I say no debt, I paid off my house, my wife's student loans, and cars. I had zero fucking debt. I had food, electricity, and the bills that everyone else has. What did that give me? Margin. Margin. See, the trick to money is having money. So you need money that's not going out. Every bill you pay is someone else's passive income. My decision was I wanted to create a business that the business itself was investing. The business itself was making money with money. Now, the only way to do that is to have money. So I had to get rid of everything that was in the way of that. So when you say, oh, I'll do anything, then you need to get off your ass and start working 8 days a week, eliminate debt, and get this money. So I had $15,000. And I go on vacation with my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, and she had a very successful friend she had gone to school with. They had a business. They were the first people that I had met that were like me now then. They had a couple $1 million. I had never met a millionaire. I grew up poor in a trailer park. So I meet them, and as we're talking, I tell him about my business and what I'm doing. He thought that was awesome, and I was like, why would you think this is awesome? He had 100 employees, and they were driving him crazy. I'm making money from home. He thought that was cool. And I showed him what I'm doing on the internet and affiliate marketing. That was new then. It's not new now. So be careful of gurus who try to tell you how to make money that are 60 years old, they're different today. The way you're going to make money, nobody can tell you that. You got to figure that path out. It's what you do with the money that I can help you with. So here's what I did. I talked to him, and he said, well, here's what you should do. You should buy a rental property. Again, this is over 20 years ago. And I'm like, what do you mean? And he goes, hey, let me get a book for you. And he went and got me a book, and he gives me this book, and he says, read this book. So we go on about our day drinking beer. Everybody goes to bed. I read the entire fucking book that night. That's called taking massive action, one of the 10 pillars of success. So I read the book. And in the book, this guy was a school teacher. My friend had been in this guy's class, and this guy had been a school teacher for 30 years. He purchased 50 houses and was a bazillionaire, right, back then. And I couldn't believe it. I said, this guy's a school teacher and he did this? So I left. Next day I gave him the book and I said, I read the whole book. I think I'm gonna do this. He laughed and said, you're the very first person I've ever given a book to who read it. Now, here I am in your life offering you a free book. This book, if you read it and do exactly what I say, with 100% certainty, you will become a millionaire. The problem is, you won't fucking do it because you're following gurus and looking for a quick fix instead of working 8 days a week and doing what the fuck you need to do. There is no fix quick, it's this. So I take this $15,000 that I busted my ass saving, and I guess what I do? I go and buy a house. Now the house, it was actually 2 houses. I got lucky. It was 2 houses, side by side. 2 houses. They wanted $75,000, again, over 20 years ago. These houses were in awful shape, terrible shape, both being rented for $400 a month. I take this, what do I need? I need 20% down. 20% is what? Of 75, well, it's basically $15,000 if you round up, right? So now how much money do I have? None. I'm broke. Most of you are sitting on money right now because you're too fucking scared to invest it. You're scared. It takes guts and courage to be an investor. You shouldn't be sitting on $10,000 in checking and have no investments. You're gonna do that for the rest of your life. You're gonna be 50 fucking years old with $10,000 because you're too scared to invest it. So here's what you do. I put that $15,000 in 2 houses. So now I own 2 houses. I got no money, no money. And you say, well, you can't do that. They want you to have reserves. You can work around that. You can think around. Just like the banks can trick you, you can trick the banks. So now I got 2 doors and I got no money. I go back to work 8 days a week. I get money and I kick the first tenant out and I repair it. When I'm done, the house is worth $15,000 more than when I started. I did the work myself. Do the next house, it's worth about $15,000 more than I started. Now I got $30,000 in equity. I got 2 properties and my cash flow is about $325 a month. So I increased my annual income by about $4,000 a year on 1 transaction. I put $30,000 in equity, which doubled this. Now I have 2 houses, both appreciating by 5–10% a year, right? So both these houses are appreciating, and I'm in business. Now I'm building positive equity. So the 4 ways you make money in real estate, you probably know that because you watch so many gurus, your head's gonna fucking explode, but yet you're not buying any property. 1, cash flow. 2, appreciation. 3, you're gonna get tax, right? You're gonna get tax breaks. You're gonna get tax breaks. So these are the main ways. Oh, and then loan pay down. Duh. Your loan's gonna pay down every month. So on average, I earn about 20+% a year on every single house that I acquire. Plus, most of that money's tax-free, right? And so this wealth is growing tax-free, 1 house after another. Cash flow, tax appreciation. This is depreciation. That's where the tax breaks come. You get to depreciate the house. There's a bazillion fucking gurus you can go watch who will sell you a course on this. And then loan pay down. But this is all you need to know. That's it. All you need to know to buy real estate is you need a 700 credit score and money for a down payment. Anything else you think you know is because you're a coward and you won't take action on what you already know. It's that simple, I'm telling you. So now I got 2 houses. I go back to work and I'm making money. Well, guess what I do on those 2 houses, that $325 a month that I'm making? I push it. That money every month goes to the stock market. And I start buying dividend stocks. Dividend stocks. Stocks that pay me between 5 and 12% yields every month. And I take my money and I go buy more houses. And I work, I save it, and then I invest it in $5,000, $10,000 income. As soon as I get $5,000, I push it to the house purchase account. Save up $5,000, push it to the house purchase account. As soon as there's enough in there, I start looking for a house. I acquire the house, I get it up. Over the next few months, I put time in, I work on it, I put my money into it, I stay broke. Again, fucking broke. No watches, no cars, no jets, none of that bullshit that you think is cool. None of that, right? That's shit from people selling you courses, bro. That's what that is. It ain't about that. It's about time and about freedom. And it's about fucking courage. You notice no one ever talks to you about courage? It's courage. It takes courage to build an empire. You want to be a fucking king? You think it's easy to be a king? No. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. It's hard. This is why people don't do it. Now, they make excuses for other reasons. The truth is, most people are afraid of being broke. And so you spend your whole life living in such a way to prove what it is you don't want, what you fear, and you ultimately end up being broke anyway. So I began to buy house after house after house, simply saving 20% down payments. I'd save 20% and I'd push it to a house. I'd take the money from the house and I'd push it to the stock market. Now, you're going to have gurus come along and say, well, you don't want to invest in stocks. That's because they're fucking idiots. They don't know what they're talking about. Now, they don't have to. I'm not saying you have to invest in the stock market, but to talk about it as not being an actual viable asset class, the people who tell you that dumb shit have something to sell you, so they don't want you to put your money in stocks. So you want to invest in anything that pays you money. Laundromats, storage facilities, land, fucking stocks, real estate, a business. You want to do all of these. Well, I specialized in two, houses and stocks. And so as I began to accumulate, so when I get to house number 7, and my cash flow is about $3,000 a month, guess what I'm doing with that $3,000 a month? I'm pushing it into the stock market. So guess what happens in about 7 to 10 years? Here's what happens in about 7 to 10 years. No leveraging, no fucking burr, and all that other shit they try to tell you because you don't have any money, because you won't go work and save your money. So you don't have any money, so you want to leverage yourself. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I get to about 10 in the first 7 years. All of these are cash flowing. I have massive equity in these. I'm not fucking leveraged. I'm not burring it and everything else they try to teach you because you won't go get the money, right? Now, if you want to do that strategy, do the strategy. But the reason they're teaching you that strategy is you don't have any money. So they're trying to teach you something that you'll do because they're trying to sell you a fucking course. There's no course here. This is just hard work. This is just being a king, running your empire. This is what this is. And then I take all the profits from all these houses and I push it into stocks. And guess what that gives me? Tax deductions, SEP IRA, IRA. So these people go to work and they take 20% of their money and give it to me, and I push it into tax-sheltered accounts that pay me money. And so now I got all these houses paying me money, and I got all these dividend stocks. There's about 50 of them now that pay me money. Most of these are tax-sheltered. All of these are tax-sheltered, and guess who gets rich? And that is called the push.